Hey everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Monday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, some unlikely heroes for the Lakers as they stun Memphis and take a 1-0 series lead. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everyone for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, particularly during the playoffs. Always free. It's never going to be behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube with 15,000 subscribers is where you can go to talk to other fans, Lakers fans, NBA fans about what's going on with the team. Leave messages for us. We like to communicate. We use your stuff on the show, which we'll be doing a lot this week throughout the first round of the playoffs as we get ready for game 2 on Wednesday. Andy, do want to let people know first that today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match on up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com, promo code Locked On. Sunday was a good day for the Lakers and for Lakers fans. 128-112. They take game 1, which I did not honestly think that was going to happen. I thought game 2, Andy, was the one that they really had a chance to go get in Memphis. The Grizzlies are the best home team in the NBA this year. For all the talk about Golden State's home road splits, Andy, Memphis was better. This was phenomenal. I mean, just a fantastic result.
Yeah, this was a game where you could point to a lot of Lakers doing really good things, including some of their role players stepping up in ways that either you've literally never seen, because in the case of Austin Reaves, this was his playoff debut, and one hell of a debut it was. You could say it was a case that you'd barely seen because Rui Hachimura, who in this game tied a franchise record for points off the bench. He had 29 in this game, tied our buddy Michael Thompson, who in 1988 had 29 off the bench. And if you are looking for omens, the Lakers won a championship that year. That was one of the years Showtime went back-to-back. Also, D'Angelo Russell with a solid 19 points, 7 assists. And in the case of D'Lo, he is both coming off a god-awful play-in game against the Timberwolves, and the last time we saw D'Angelo Russell in the playoffs, it was against these same Grizzlies, and D'Lo was not particularly good, and it has led to a lot of questions about D'Lo as a playoff player. Combine that with Hachimura having only played 5 playoff games leading up to this point, and there was
you mentioned, like, things that people haven't seen. Like, Rui's been in the playoffs, but let's be honest, Andy, particularly if you're like a Laker fan, you didn't see that. You weren't watching the Wizards play the Sixers in 2021. You weren't doing that. So you didn't see that from Rui either, even if it happened. He actually had a pretty good series, but that's not the point.
No, it's not. I mean, if nothing else, though, beyond the fact who cares about the Wizards, it's not a sample size. And Rui, frankly, has been a question. He's been a player with a lot of question marks throughout his career. This is before you even get into LeBron and AD, but just the foundation that was laid in part because of the Laker role players. These are the type of things that you look for when you are a team looking to make a playoff run, much less a team like the Lakers that, for a lot of the season, the playoffs seemed like an especially tall order to begin with.
Yeah, well, we're going to unpack a lot of this stuff, and we're going to tell you the fourth quarter. You mentioned all 3 of those guys, D'Lo, Rui, and Austin Reaves. We'll get into that. Kind of when you really break it down and look at some of the numbers, a remarkable fourth quarter for the Lakers, both stylistically and based on who produced. I want to talk a little bit about Darvin Ham, and I think the importance of getting this series off on a really good foot for the Lakers. But you mentioned, Andy, we got to talk about Ja Morant too, who may not be able to play in game 2 on Wednesday, although there is a lot of time between now and Wednesday. And so hopefully he will be healthy. There's not a loss. He hurt his hand in the fourth quarter. And that is not something you want to see in a playoff like this, even though it benefits the Lakers. So, but I want to start with AD because our last show going into the playoffs, our Friday episode, we basically talked about the topic. I think that was the title of the show is this a prove it series for AD? Somebody who has the talent to be a game changer, one of the great players in the NBA, but isn't always reliable in that regard. He got off to an amazing start in this game. He was controlling the defensive side for the Lakers. I think he had 3 blocks in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Yes, he did.
It was stunning to watch. He was effective offensively. He was engaged on that side of the ball. If you wanted to find out what kind of game Anthony Davis is going to bring and how effective he planned on being, you got a real quick taste. If this is a prove it series, he went in and proved it early.
Yeah, AD finished the game with 22 points, 12 rebounds, 7 blocks, 3 assists, 3 steals. He was a beast on both ends. I have no idea how many shots he bothered in the lane, but all of them would be the answer.
If he was on the floor, he bothered it.
Yeah, he induced Desmond Bane into a travel, defending him in isolation, and you could just see all the different ways he was impacting this game from the start. But then towards the end of the first half, he ends up tangled up under the basket with Jaren Jackson Jr. and gets this shoulder stinger that in the beginning looked really bad. And you could read his lips. He said something to the effect of, I can't move my arm. I cannot move my arm at all. Darvin Ham pulled him out of the game. He said afterwards that he told the medical staff, just take him in back right now, start working on him. And your mind, you can't help, having seen all these different trials and tribulations with Anthony Davis, thinking, I cannot believe this is happening again.
When he's playing, and he's playing so well. And it was interesting, the halftime show, and this is an ABC ESPN game. The halftime show is Stephen A. Smith and Wilbon, I think, and I forget who else is in the room. But
Jalen Rose, Mike Greenberg.
Yeah, Stephen A. is basically saying what every Laker fan is thinking. This guy is incredibly talented. Can be incredibly dominant, but you can't rely on him to be on the floor. Is he going to make it through? The Lakers can make a title run, but is Anthony Davis going to be able to play enough games to make that possible? You cannot. He's just always getting hurt. And, I think you tweeted me at halftime or texted me at halftime because you noticed that Anthony Davis and Mr. Glass were trending.
Yeah, I tweeted I tweeted out at Cam Brothers, sports are goddamn cruel, man, because the trending things at the moment were Anthony Davis, Mr. Glass, hashtag Lake Show, street clothes. I mean, that is just brutal. And look, Stephen A., during this rant he was going on, he made it clear. He's like, look, I'm not questioning the guy's toughness. I'm not questioning his willingness to get back on the floor. I just love watching the guy play. And I just keep wondering, is this greatness ever going to be sustainable on a season in, season out, game in, game out basis?
Doesn't matter how good you are if you're not on the floor. And Rui Hachimura talked about it after the game. Everybody's when they were asked about well, what did you do from the first half, second half adjustments here? That was well, we weren't really sure if Anthony Davis was going to play. So the players weren't sure. And then he comes out and he starts the second half. And, after the break, I want to talk more about this because it's an inflection moment, both for the game, for the Lakers season, for this series, and for Anthony Davis himself in really important ways. And that he came out and not only did he start this, the third quarter on the floor, played really well for the rest of the game. So we'll do that next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Prize Picks. And Laker fans, if you haven't signed up for Prize Picks yet, you are missing out on daily fantasy made easy. PrizePicks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market, more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator. They offer the superstar players, they offer the bench players, who in this particular case scored like superstar players. And either way, you just pick 2 to 6 players and predict if they will notch more or less than the PrizePicks stats projections, and you can win up to 25 times your money. And PrizePicks offers projections on everything from MLB to the PGA to disc golf. Just use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's safe, fast withdrawals. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com. Sign up today, play daily fantasy sports. And first-time users, you can get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. Do not forget, again, that promo code Locked On at your sign up for the instant match. If you're not playing PrizePicks, you don't know what you're missing.
So this was a really interesting box score for the Lakers because the stat was first time the Lakers have had 4 20-point scores since 1988. And so you got to go back a ways. And
in a playoff game or period?
Playoff game. In a playoff game.
Okay.
So, it was Hachimura with 29, Austin Reaves with 23, LeBron with Davis with 22, and LeBron with 21. And, for a lot of the game, it was 2 late buckets that the game was essentially over when AD had them that really that got him over 20 points and put him as the 3rd leading scorer in this game instead of the 4th. And it's so interesting to me because, Andy, we talk about so many games where AD puts up, 29 and, whatever, 31 points. It's like, he scored a lot, but I didn't feel him in this game. This game, he was sitting on 17 for much of the 4th quarter. And you felt it. Like, this was like, there was no way, whether they won, they lost, whatever, you were going to leave this game thinking that Anthony Davis didn't do his part. And that includes coming back. And, that to me is a bit of a narrative changer, like really feeling his impact, even when he's not scoring. But also after this shoulder injury, you put those 2 things together and this constantly evolving, constantly churning conversation about Anthony Davis, at least between now and Wednesday, has a lot of really good stuff behind it.
Yeah, it's funny. When he came back into the game, he started the 3rd quarter out with the rest of the starters.
Yes.
And his first possession, he was starting to post up and he turned the ball over. And my immediate thought was like, oh man, is this going to be one of those things where he's doing the inspirational thing by coming back out there and, wanting to be there for his team, but that shoulder is just dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't do it.
I thought exactly the same thing.
Like, absolutely. I'm like, is he gonna have to play left-handed? Like, and no disrespect to AD, but he ain't Kobe. Like there'd be those games where Kobe played left-handed and it was incredible. But at the same time, like Kobe's the guy that does those sort of things.
But even when Kobe did it, was still suboptimal.
It was suboptimal, but he was, Kobe would make it about as optimal as suboptimal.
It was really cool, but it was suboptimal.
But then it only took a couple more possessions for AD to score with that right arm, to grab some rebounds. You're like, okay, he looks like AD. This was just a turnover. And the significance of Anthony Davis coming back into this game, I know it was not lost on fans because we heard the reaction of them, at Cam Brothers on Twitter, flipping out and thinking, here we go again. And Laker fans, for reasons that are very understandable, are quick to hit the panic button with Anthony Davis, quick to hit the skepticism button with Anthony Davis. This was a game that you could feel as it went on, the respect from Laker fans, because they recognized he came back and he continued playing hard and he showed toughness that has often been questioned with AD.
Yeah. And I mean, I appreciated that Stephen A. clarified. It's like nobody thinks he's faking it. And I don't even think Lakers fans, and I don't like the whole, like Ja Morant, for example, the X-rays after the game. Again, I consider this a good thing. I want a good series, and you want Ja Morant to play. He's one of the most exciting players in the NBA. The X-ray came back negative. You talk about pain tolerance. People talk about pain tolerance like it's just a matter of like your mental will, as if pain doesn't impact what you're doing. If the bone isn't broken, you should just be able to suck it up and play through the pain. Your body doesn't work that way. Your body doesn't just turn off pain signals because it's the playoffs. Like, you can't run as fast. You can't jump as high. You can't lift your arm in the same way. Your body will stop you from doing those things. And so, it's just pain tolerance is a rough way to go. It's just, there's this matter of like when you need him the most. Like your superstar players are the people that you could rely on when you need them the most. And the feeling in that moment was, he's not a guy we can rely on. I think people have really seen in the last month or so how much he wants to change that conversation, but it's not easy to do. And so much of it is out of his control because he's still relatively injury prone, and we still all watch him with our fingers crossed and get terrified every time he hits the floor. But man, coming back from this one on Sunday was awesome to see.
Yeah. I mean, he has a body that doesn't always cooperate. He has an incredibly skilled and gifted body that does not always cooperate when it comes to absorbing impact, when it comes to quick recoveries from injury, all of that stuff.
Keeping the parts, connected in the right way. I mean, the human body is not meant to be Anthony Davis's size doing stuff that Anthony Davis does.
No, but I mean, suffice to say, and we'll get into more about Anthony Davis certainly tomorrow and as the series goes along, the guy was absolutely fantastic and real. We had heard there's one of our Twitter follows, and we know him a bit from our work on 710, Crypto Ray at Crypto Ray. He made an observation a couple weeks ago that the Lakers are most convincing. He tweeted this to us at Cam Brothers. The Lakers are most convincing when Anthony Davis is their leading scorer. And this was not a game where he was a leading scorer, but this was a game where he was as impactful as anybody on the court. And by extension, this was a game where the Lakers were a really convincing team. Beyond Ja's absence down the stretch, which
and let's because let's get into that, because part of what made this so effective is that the fourth quarter, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who were playing well. I don't want to make this sound like these guys disappeared. They were shooting and not scoring. Like, they were playing well on both sides of the ball. I thought LeBron, for all the talk we had about what's he doing defensively these days, I thought he had a really good game on Sunday.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Played very well on Sunday. But LeBron and Anthony Davis had one basket each until AD had those two late buckets that I was talking about earlier. That was just fine. It wasn't because they were missing shots. It wasn't because LeBron was essentially playing off ball for most of the fourth quarter, certainly down the stretch. Once Ja Morant was out with that hand injury with about 6 minutes to go, the Lakers for the bulk of the fourth quarter played through Austin Reaves as the primary ball handler, initiating plays, kicking out to Rui Hachimura, doing all that stuff. And the results were very good for the Lakers and very good for those two guys who were bolstering their offseason asking prices following Sunday's games. But it was remarkable to see the Lakers operating with LeBron James and Anthony Davis off the ball in the ways that they were, and operating so effectively in that fourth quarter, throwing D'Angelo Russell as well. And if you're looking for good signs for the Lakers, that is certainly one of them, because how are these guys going to perform? How's the depth? All that kind of stuff. It really came through in the fourth quarter on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll get into more details about it probably in the final segment of the show. But one big overarching thing that stuck out to me was after the game, LeBron was asked about, extending that type of trust to those three, D'Lo, Rui, and Reaves down the stretch, and really letting them take command of the game. In the fourth quarter, Austin Reaves had 14 points, including 9 in succession. He had 2 assists. He made every shot he attempted. Rui Hachimura had 9 points in the fourth quarter. D'Angelo Russell was out there, I think, greasing the wheels and being an important part of keeping everything moving. And LeBron talked about it in part because, this is a way that he likes to lead, by building up confidence in, as he puts it, my guys. And he could see that this was working. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And he trusts these guys to do the right thing down the stretch. And there is no question that for D'Lo and for Rui, and LeBron said Rui has been going up to him a lot since getting traded here, asking him for advice, asking him for things that he can do better. How can I help this team? And, Austin Reaves has made it very clear over the years how much LeBron's confidence in him means. So for all three of those guys, it's a big pick-me-up. But there's a practical element to this too. The energy LeBron does not have to expend down the stretch of a game, taking it over, or frankly, all 4 quarters in this game. LeBron played hard, he played engaged, all that, but this was not a game where he had to carry a thing. This is energy he can preserve for the rest of this series and for however long the Lakers are in the playoffs. All of those minutes, all of that energy adds up. When you are LeBron James, 38 years old in season 20, there's a practical element of being able to let the other guys take it home. Like that is significant for LeBron.
Yeah, and I think it's also from a strategic standpoint. I'm not sure LeBron went into the I don't think anybody in the building in the first quarter figured that LeBron wouldn't be on the ball in the fourth quarter, and I'm including LeBron in that equation. But what you have here is a situation where now it's like, oh, geez, this kind of changes the way we have to scout the Lakers, the way we have to think about defending the Lakers. Because at any moment, it's not like LeBron's still not there. It's not like you can't go back to him. So I think it was really significant from a scouting standpoint, from a strategic standpoint. This is another thing now that the Grizzlies have to really account for. In playing the Lakers is this notion of Austin Reaves as a ball handler in the fourth quarter, or D'Angelo Russell on the ball, and LeBron James away from it. And what do we do? What do we do if the Lakers come up, start building out other things? It's just a lot to think about, because typically you would assume that LeBron was going to be on the ball. I guarantee you that's what everybody on the Grizzlies sideline thought in the first half would happen in the second. But let's a few more things about this finish. I want to talk about Darvin Ham a little bit and the importance of getting off to a good start. So we will do all of those things next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Built Bar. And if you're looking for a tasty treat, but you don't want all the fat and the calories, you got to try yourself a Built Bar. I'm somebody who's actually pretty conscious about eating healthy. I try to offset the other areas where I'm not doing my body as right in terms of, just eating well, eating healthy. But at the same time, I want healthy to taste good, because otherwise, what's the point? You only live so long. You might as well enjoy the taste of it. And that's why Built Bars are so helpful for this quest. They are covered, as always, in 100% real dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is my personal preference. It's the better chocolate. And the Built Bars come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. They taste deceptively like a candy bar, but only 130 calories, only 4 grams of sugar, but 17 grams of protein. And that's the good stuff. That's how you end up yoked, swole. And you don't even have to wait around for a box. Like we've talked for years about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. And that is great if you're patient. You just want to kick back at home, wait around. But
what if I'm hungry now?
What if you're hungry now? Just go to your local Walmart, go to the pharmacy section, they're right there, or go to a Sam's Club. However you want to get your Built Bars, pick up a box of assorted flavors and enjoy.
I also, the last thing I wanted to mention about this fourth quarter is, and I don't expect that it would, like LeBron, I like that LeBron also had this sort of, like you said, whether it's the confidence, the trust, with all this stuff, but like, as he said after the game, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like the Lakers really were picking at these matchups when, particularly when Ja left the game. And Tyus Jones, a very good player. And we'll talk certainly as the week goes on. We learn a little bit more about Ja. Like this series is not over if Ja can't play. Lakers have a massive opportunity, and that was what made Game 1, I think, so critical. Is like if you get this was a really even game throughout, and the Grizzlies thought, I think, they were going to catch the break with Anthony Davis not finishing the game. AD comes back in. Now the Lakers have the opportunity to take a game on Memphis's floor because Ja's not there down the stretch. No Ja for the last 6 minutes of the game. You got to win that game. You have to. And the Lakers did. So I thought that was great. But I just liked how they kind of let it happen. Like this thing was working, and the normal script is great. This thing is working, but your superstar gets the ball back for the last 5 minutes of the game. Lakers didn't do it. They just kept doing the things that were working and allowing Reaves, who was playing incredibly well, to keep doing it. Like that behind the back pass that I am sure every Lakers fan has seen 3 or 4 or 5 times by this point, following the game, to Hachimura for a made 3 was one of the coolest plays I've ever seen. And it was so good that it almost took me, I was like, did he just go behind the back on that play? Like that wasn't, but I missed it. And I'm like, no, he did. Like that play was awesome. And the stars got out of the way and let that stuff happen. And I wouldn't expect them to do differently because of the kinds of stars the Lakers have, but it is so not the norm in the NBA for that game to have gone, play by play the way it did.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because LeBron talked after the game. Like one of the only areas where the Lakers really needed to clean things up and really put themselves in some trouble was turnovers. Most notably in the second quarter. They had 8 in the second quarter. They finished with 14. This was coming off of clean first quarter. They didn't turn the ball over at all. But LeBron noted that this was something that needed to get fixed, and he and AD were most guilty. He had 5 himself. Austin Reaves had 4 assists, and it felt like more, to be honest, against 0 turnovers. And I would never in a million years say that Austin Reaves is a better passer than LeBron James, because that's bat bleep stupid. He's not, nor will he ever be. LeBron James is on par with the greatest passers that have ever picked up a basketball. And over the course of however long they play together as teammates, LeBron James will be a better passer than Austin Reaves because he just is. But in this particular game, Austin Reaves was actually passing better than LeBron. LeBron, the last few games, to be totally honest, has been loose and careless with the ball, like very uncharacteristic stuff from LeBron that if I were to
Even
bet
Mark
on
Jackson noted that on the broadcast.
Yeah, look, if I were to bet on it, this ain't going to continue moving forward because it would be very out of character for LeBron. But for whatever reason, that's the place he's in right now. Whether that was something LeBron was conscious of or not, in terms of letting Reaves control some of the action down the stretch, where Reaves was, to be perfectly honest, flat out brilliant. That's something that a star with a high basketball IQ and, a sense of the bigger picture does. Like whether, again, conscious or not, somebody was doing the thing that you expect from LeBron, doing it better than LeBron. So you know what? Let him do it. It's fine. And he got Austin Reaves, this game he played, this is his playoff debut. To say that he is getting himself off to a hell of a start in the postseason would be a massive understatement. After the game, Damian Lillard tweeted out, "My bad, Reaves like that," with the prayer hands emoji. Like there was a lot of peers from the NBA praising Austin Reaves after this game. Mark Jackson said during the game, Austin Reaves is no fluke. You're going to be seeing him for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like I was thinking about this because we had talked before about how neither one of us doubted that, Reaves could handle the playoffs or whatever, but you're still curious how somebody who's only in his second year, undrafted, does in this type of situation.
Well,
he played,
on Sunday.
I noticed actually, Newark, Arkansas, where he's from, is less than 2 hours away from Memphis. So this was like a home game or a home.
He said he had about 100 and something people in the crowd that he knew.
He played like he was in a home setting and comfortable. He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing in this game. Rui, who was, by the way, he noted after the game, playing for a country. You know, he said there are a lot of people up in the middle of the night watching him play. That's something he takes a lot of pride in. Desmond Maine noted afterwards, this is maybe the best game Rui's ever played. We'll see if he can do it for an entire series. Bain's correct about that, but Rui's been in a nice
but that's the thing. One of the things we'll talk about for Tuesday's show is like, because this is always true, like of any playoff series. Well, if you're the Lakers, what do you look at having happened in that game and be like, I feel confident that may or may not happen again? What do you feel nervous about? And I am fairly confident that Rui Hachimura is not going to have another 11 of 14, 5 of 6, 29-point game. But the point, it doesn't have to be him. I think he can continue to play well, but there's playing well, and then there's what he did on Sunday. That was a nuclear career kind of day. And it happens. And I doubt he does it again in this series. But it doesn't have to be him. You know, I mean, it can be Reaves having another really good, another really good shooting day, or D'Lo going for 26, or Michael Beasley. That would be weird. Malik Beasley. If Michael Beasley comes in and has a great series, that would be legitimately unexpected. Malik Beasley coming in and you know, having a three-pointer first half, you know, hitting 5 in a game or so like that. Okay, that's not crazy.
I mean, he keeps his minutes, but
but he only played 10. They shortened the rotation.
Yeah,
essentially played 8 guys, which are, you know, it's just what you do. And the 9th guy plays a little bit.
Yeah, it was Troy Brown was essentially the 9th guy.
And you know, so they did that. But like the matchups could change, and the minutes allotment could change, and all of those things. You know, Troy could have a random game where he has 14 points. It's like, it doesn't just have to be if Rui Hachimura can do this throughout. Dennis Schroeder only had 7 points. That's not going to be his high point game of this series, I'm willing to bet. So you feel really good about the Lakers' depth, and we'll get into a lot of this over the next couple of days, because there are some things that I think are sustainable and some things that might not be for both teams. But the other thing, my last point on this one was I just thought it was really important for Darvin Ham to get off to a good start in this series. And I, at least, and watching social media, watching the game, you'll see the comments and all that stuff. I was watching this going, I don't know if they're going to win. Midway through the fourth quarter, it's a close game. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to win or they're going to lose. I don't have a lot of complaints about what's been happening here. I don't have a lot of complaints about the game plan. I don't have a lot of complaints about the rotation, about the choices of who goes in and who goes. Like, this is a pretty clean game Darvin coached on Sunday. And I think that was important for him, not to have any of these moments that all of us are talking about the next day, wondering if Darvin is up to it. It didn't happen.
No. Before we go, I just letting people know as far as things we're going to be talking about on Tuesday's show, Ja Morant not being there could present a different offensive wrinkle for the Grizzlies that I do think is going to present some questions for Darvin Ham. So not going to get exactly into what that is, keep people guessing a little bit, but I do think it's going to create some interesting choices for Darvin. But I agree with you. I thought he did a good job in this game. I thought he's off to a good start in terms of his Lakers postseason coaching career.
Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where you can go to see the show and engage with a community of Lakers and NBA fans of over 15,000 strong. Really appreciate all the support there. We will be combing these comments, and the last few days the people have been leaving a lot of them, so there's a lot of combing going on. But we will be trying to pull insights, pull questions, pull things like that for use throughout the week. Andy mentioned Tuesday's show, some of the things we have planned in terms of talking points that we want to get into for Tuesday's show. For Wednesday's show, leading into Game 3, Howard Beck is going to join us, the great Howard Beck. So a great guest for the lead up to Game 3. All right, we'll see everybody on Tuesday.